Hey guys, my name's Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. And today we're going to share the things that you might not love, the things that you don't love about living in Nashville. There's some of them out there, some of them you won't get anywhere else, but here we're going to jump into it. Let's check these out. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us for 10 things. Well, it's not 10, it's actually 10 plus two bonus things that we don't love about living in Nashville. And, we've been here. I'm a native Nashvilleian, raising fourth generation, raising the fifth generation, and we help people make Nashville home. And so for many years, we get asked the question, hey, what's the real story? What isn't great about living in Nashville? Especially now, Nashville's winning so many different awards and the friendliest cities and all these different awards. One of the top entrepreneur cities, one of the top tech cities, one of the top cities for growth. And now we're even a supernova city, one of only 4 cities in the US picked for that. But there are some downsides. And so we're going to jump into it today and share some of the things that we don't love about living in Nashville. Right off the bat, Nashville has really bad traffic. So if you don't love driving, if you don't love having a longer commute, or if you work those absolute hours where you've got to be traveling at peak time, then that is something not to love about Nashville. Nashville is an industrial revolution city. It's an old city, but we were built without a plan for public transit. We didn't have subways. Part of that has to do with our limestone base that we have as a major part of our foundation and here in the city. So we're a hub and spoke city, mainly on roads. And of course, that was initially with rail and wagons, and then, of course, the river. So as we've grown and as sprawl has continued to grow, that 45-minute radius around the city now is primarily based on the 3 major interstates that we have, the suburban areas from there, and ultimately our lack of planning around doing some good public transit. So it's something that we're working with, that we have lots of plans to do and figuring things out. Now, with a little bit of adjustment, if you have some flexibility and could be in before some of the rush hour in the morning, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like LA where rush hour is all day, and there's a gap between 3:15 and 3:30. That's the non-peak time. We're not that way. But if you can get in front of some of the volume that happens and which causes the delays, then that's it. Or stay a little bit later. We have a couple of clients that just couldn't handle it, and leaving right at 5 and getting into that melee was just not good for them. So they started a couple of different activities, both working out and social, and so they stay in town just a little bit longer, and that solves the problem. Then they're ready to go. They go home, and boom, it's their regular 15 or 20-minute commute. So as opposed to that extended hour and sitting in bumper to bumper traffic, that's just not, no one enjoys that. We get stereotypes with being the #1 place in the world for bachelorette parties. Not everyone in Nashville wears pink cowboy hats and feathered boas out to dinner on a Tuesday night, though those are here every Tuesday night in Nashville, and they're out and welcomed in many of our entertainment district establishments. But I don't own a pink cowboy hat or boa. Sorry, breaking news. Don't have it. I do have a hot pink bow tie. Another stereotype that comes into play all the time is that everyone is trying to recruit you to their church, right in the middle of the Bible Belt. In the South, we have over 2,300 Christian churches here in Nashville, 22 Catholic churches, 21 temples, and 17 different Hindu and Buddhist temples in town. But the reality is, for the most part, in Nashville, is that people aren't being overly evangelical, recruiting you to their faith or challenging you on your faith. So that's something that we hear a lot too. There's a Mormon temple here in town as well. And so there's just a lot more diversity than people assume, and we don't fit just that square peg stereotype out there that we run into in Nashville. There's a lot of typical, people, both in the South and then a business center. We have business and business casual and just normal, typical, fashionable clothing. Okay, another thing not to love about Nashville and living in Nashville, and this one's near and dear to my own personal heart. We have such a great food scene, so many new restaurants moving to town. Y'all, we have a problem. It's a tea emergency. Yes. And I'm not talking about spelling the tea. I'm talking about tea. Sweet tea is losing its place in Nashville, and I hate it. Y'all, I'm not even kidding. I'm being a little bit dramatic, but seriously, I'm from here, grew up here, raising my family here, and the reality is when you say, "Hey," when you go to a restaurant, you want tea, that it means sweet tea, and it's sweet tea that's brewed hot and poured sugar in while it's hot and then served cold in ice in a glass and generally with a lemon. I recently was in a new restaurant that's a great restaurant right in Green Hills and with a couple people. We went through four different iterations for me to ultimately end up with water with a lemon because both the restaurant and the server were out of context and didn't know what tea was. And my folks that I was with actually just got a big kick out of it. So the first time when they ordered, I was like, "Yeah, do you have tea?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, we've got tea." And I said, "It's not infused with anything." And they were like, "No, yeah, we'll bring you tea." They brought me hot tea, like, like English tea and breakfast tea and Earl Grey. And I was like, "No, no, 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 thank you." But I wanted like iced tea, but sweet tea. And they're like, "Oh, well, we'll bring you sugar." And you're like, "Okay." Now, there is the acceptable standard around tea that if you're in a restaurant and they have unsweet tea only, and they have a simple syrup. Now, I love that. That allows you to sugar it appropriately. And if you're a true Southern move to show that you really are a sweet tea drinker, and leave me a comment in the comments below if you know what I'm going to say here. But this one is real true Southerners. What's your order? I'll save it to the end. I'll share it with you. But yeah, you know, if you know, you know, but if you don't, wait till the end and I'll tell you. Okay, another thing not to love about Nashville is the rental rates. Nashville is exploding with different options. One of the things people underestimate is all the different product we have. We have so many different types of housing in Nashville, both for rent and for sale and to live in. And there's just so many different choices. There's so many different areas. There's probably easy 30 different micro markets in Nashville that have their own different vibe and style and value and convenience. And believe it or not, even though we've talked about Nashville's not a particularly good public transit area, we do talk about walkability. And we have a ton of different little micro neighborhoods that have great walkability for some of the key things for the market and the pub and the pizza place, and things like that that you can walk to in a regular way, or even walking to outdoor, being able to walk to the park or the greenway. But rental rates and looking at rental rates and how expensive it can be to live in Nashville. And you just got to weigh those things out. Sometimes it can be a convenience factor. We're seeing people choosing to live closer to work so they have a shorter commute, or they're even walking to work, choosing that choice, for that convenience. The other thing could be if they go, "Oh, no, I'm going to focus on the rate." Well, then that means a little bit different. You could actually get more house a little bit further out of town because that's something that you choose. So we have so many different choices around the rental rates, but it is a big challenge. And we get calls all the time from people moving to town, getting started, and really not having success in the rental market. We'd love to hear from you if we're doing that. There's really not a rental advocate or buyer's agent, so to speak, but we can help work with you and help you find the right thing, get you settled for the time being, and then ultimately be your agent for when you go to look for that purchase long term. Okay, another thing not to love about living in Nashville, and this one's a real one, and it's big. It's allergies. Now, we are very, very high allergy area in Nashville. Recently, we had a client considering moving here, and actually ran into a couple different allergies that they'd never had before, and they were on allergy medicine. We actually had to work with the client and some of our other clients that are physicians in town and other medical people to find out what was in bloom, what was that, what was causing that, were they sick, or was it an allergy? And ultimately, we found out it was an allergy to a plant that was in bloom at that time and was only going to be about a 2 or 3 week blooming season for that particular allergy. Really unique things that we get into in residential real estate. But we have really bad allergies, and we have spring and fall allergies. As a kid, I always had the spring ones, but my fall allergies showed up a little bit later in young adult life. This one's one of my favorite reasons not to love living in Nashville. And this is one that if you want to be anonymous, keep your head down, and just kind of be invisible in the city, Nashville is not the place. Nashville is a very friendly, very outgoing and engaging city, especially when you're out and about. You're going to expect people to say hello to you. Good morning. How are you? How's your day? What's going on? They'll open doors for you. You'll see people even, block for you and let you to get into parking spots first. They'll allow people to move in to line and traffic. You can spot a person that's new to Nashville because they're still driving very aggressively like they were in a different market. And slowly over time, some of that subsides and they settle down and realize like, hey, we don't have to drive like that here. It's not necessary. But Nashville's a very friendly, very polite, very genuine and open town in social settings as well as professional settings. It's very welcoming and greeting and saying hello. So much so that when I find myself in other places and other parts of the world, that I've projected myself in my native Nashvillianness of saying hello, good morning to people. I was in Prague and was greeting people and it was freaking people out. And first, I don't speak Czech very well, obviously, but beyond that, it was like they just weren't a culture of particularly greeting. If that's something that's not, exciting to you, then, that's something not to love about Nashville. So if you love snow, the national average across the United States is 26 inches of snow annually. That's something not to love about Nashville. We get next to no snow in Nashville, Tennessee. Our average is around half an inch, and that is even rare. People make fun of us because we just don't have a lot of the equipment. And so, if we get a snow that's 3, 4, 5 inches, the city will shut down for 3 or 4 or 5 days and wait for the snow to come out and kind of melt on its own, and some of the wearing away of tracks too. So if you love to have that, afternoon, snow shower and all that, we just don't have it much. You're going to have to go visit friends in a different market to find that in a regular and repeating way. Anyway, another reason not to love Nashville is if you love snow. If you love your city to be very consistent, no surprises, no special events, no road closures, or anything like that, then that's a reason not to love Nashville. Nashville is full of events, of tourism, of changes, and of growth. It is not uncommon to be headed somewhere on a Tuesday and a road to be blocked because they're doing a music video shoot or they're getting ready to do an awards show. And so a road's blocked and they're doing a special while they're shooting there. But so many different things in the entertainment world and the entertainment business, from, like I say, from music videos to events to individual shoots, all kinds of things happening in Nashville, doing individual shoots around some of the different sports teams that are here, whether it's the, Nashville Predators or the Nashville Sounds or the Tennessee Titans. So if that's not for you, then that's a reason not to love Nashville. Another thing that comes up that people go, gosh, I didn't realize that, about Nashville, I don't love that, is that people come to Nashville looking for a deal. And they don't realize that Nashville is a big city, one of the top 50 cities in the US, but it is also compared to a lot of other cities for a lot of different reasons. We get compared to financial market cities, we get compared to other entertainment based cities, and we get compared to other entrepreneurial and tech based cities. And when we get compared across most all of those markets, Nashville is the value buy. That does not mean that it's 50 cents on the dollar. It does mean your dollar does go further. But when you look at an LA and New York, Miami, and Nashville combination, then comparatively, the cost of living and the cost of goods, as well as the cost of housing, is significantly lower. And that's to Nashville's favor. And there are deals to be had, but they're hidden in the market, and you got to know where to find them and how they fit with some of your non negotiables. So if you want to know where those deals are and where that opportunity is, we'd love to share 15 minutes with you. Follow the links below, and we'd love to, just catch up and know you, whether you need us 6 days or 6 months from now. It's a great time to get started. Start our relationship now, so we already know each other when the time comes. So would love to hear from you, and I hope to hear from you real soon and see you in the comments. Okay, guys, you waited till the end. What is it? What's that true Southerner tea hack? Well, I'll tell you, it's half and half. And that's the move to have when you're a Southern tea drinker, is making sure you get half and half unsweet, half sweet. And then that way you can adjust your volume, because some people sugar it too much. Some people put the sugar in late while it's cold, and that affects the flavor. It's just a thing. So now, more times than not, when we're out, we'll go tea half and half sweet, half unsweet, and then away we go and can flavor it up from there. So You made it this far, it's worth that thing. You'll look really cool if you're in Nashville and you order a tea half and half. So those are some of the things that we wanted to share about why you might not love living in Nashville, or the things that we hate about living in Nashville. And I don't like saying hate, but that's why you could tell with a lot of these different things, we're like, hey, this is not a good thing, but there's a reason, and here's a positive light to shed on it. So we love bringing content like this. If you've gotten any value out of this, please give us a thumbs up and share this with at least two people you know that need to know more about Nashville and are considering buying homes in Middle Tennessee in the year ahead. We can help you here in Middle Tennessee, or if you'd love us to make a recommendation for someone in the market that you're going to that has this hyper local feel and look and knowledge in the market, we stay in touch with our agents across the country to help take great care of their clients, but we're also heavily connected out there. So until we connect again, my name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. Hope to see you soon, and keep on keeping on.